Have you ever been made a promise only to watch it just, poof, vanish into thin air? Well, today we're going to dive into a classic legal case that's kind of like a thriller, a real race against time. And it reveals a pretty harsh but absolutely crucial truth. When is a promise legally binding, and when is it just, well, empty words? So let me ask you this. Picture it. Someone offers you a great deal, maybe on a house or a car, and they even promise to keep that offer open for you for a few days. But before you can say, I'll take it, you hear through the grapevine that they've already sold it to somebody else. Can you still rush over and accept that original deal? It's a tricky question, right? Let's see what the law has to say. All right, our story takes us all the way back to England in 1876 to a case called Dickinson versus Dodds. And it all kicked off with what seemed like a really straightforward deal. But as they say, the devil is always in the details. Okay, so here's the play-by-play. On a Wednesday, a Mr. Dodds offers to sell a property to Mr. Dickinson for £800, and he even puts it in writing that the offer will stay open until Friday at 9 a.m. But then, boom, Thursday afternoon, Dickinson gets a tip from a reliable source. Dodds is selling the place to someone else. All of a sudden, that clock is ticking, and Dickinson realizes he's got to act, and act fast. Now, in the eyes of the law, what Dodds made was a clear offer. It's basically a proposal to start a binding agreement. Seems pretty simple. But the real puzzle is, what does it actually take to keep that offer on the table? This is where things start to get a little tricky. And this right here, this is the absolute heart of the matter. See, Dodds made an ordinary offer. And the thing about ordinary offers is they can be pulled back at any time. That promise he made to wait until Friday, legally, it's just words floating in the air. It has no teeth. To make that promise ironclad, Dickinson would have needed what's called an option contract, and that would have meant paying Dodds something, anything, even a small amount, to lock in that offer. That payment is what lawyers call consideration. Dickinson paid zero, so that offer was basically a free agent. So Dickinson is just holding this simple, flimsy offer, and then his whole world gets turned upside down by this one rumor. You can just feel the tension, right? The clock is ticking, and his deal is slipping right through his fingers. And get this, look at the source of the information. Dickinson didn't hear it from Dodds himself. He heard it from a mutual acquaintance, a Mr. Barry. The fact that this news came from a reliable third party is a crucial detail that is about to seal Dickinson's fate. So you can just imagine the panic. Dickinson hears this news and realizes he's got to move if he wants any chance at all of getting that property. And so begins this frantic, last-ditch race to accept the offer. So what does he do? He literally races down to the local railway station on Friday morning, way before that 9 a.m. deadline, desperately trying to hunt down Dodds to lock this thing in. He finds him, right there on the platform, and hands him a formal written acceptance. In Dickinson's mind, he's done everything by the book. He's met the deadline, he's accepted the terms. That property should be his. But, and here is the 800-pound question, despite all his scrambling and his formal letter, was there actually an offer left on the table for him to accept? Of course, Dickinson wasn't going down without a fight. He sued, and the whole mess went to court. And this is where the law would step in and lay down a final landmark ruling on this exact problem. And it was the judge, Lord Justice James, who delivered the final word. He basically said, look, because Dickinson knew Dodds didn't intend to sell to him anymore, even though he heard it indirectly, the offer was effectively gone, revoked. The two men were no longer on the same page. There was no meeting of the minds. Let's just break down that logic because it's so important. For a contract to actually form, both people have to be on the exact same page at the exact same time. That's the meeting of the minds. By the time Dickinson was running around trying to accept, he already knew Dodds had changed his mind, so their minds couldn't possibly meet. No meeting, no contract. Simple as that. This huge decision ended up creating a powerful legal principle that is now a cornerstone of contract law everywhere. We call it the doctrine of revocation. So, what is the doctrine of revocation? Put simply, it means the person who makes an offer has the power to take it back, to revoke it, at any point in time before the other person formally accepts it. So, this whole dramatic story gives us two crystal clear lessons. First, a promise to keep an offer open is basically worthless unless you've paid for it. And second, and this is the real kicker, the person making the offer doesn't even have to tell you directly that it's off the table. Hearing it from a reliable source is just as good in the eyes of the law. Okay, so you might be thinking,
Why should I care about some dusty old case from 1876? Well, the truth is, the principle it established affects us all the time in ways you probably don't even realize. I mean, just think about it. You're about to accept a job offer, and then you see the company post on LinkedIn that they've hired someone else for the role. Guess what? Your offer has probably just been legally revoked. A seller accepts another bid on a house while you're still thinking about it? Same principle. Even an online item that gets removed or sells out while it's sitting in your shopping cart, that's this exact logic at play. The offer's gone. So, in the end, it all came down to a single number. How much did Dickinson pay to keep that offer open until Friday? 0. Absolutely nothing. And that one simple fact was the fatal flaw in his entire plan. He had a promise, sure, but he didn't have a legally enforceable right. So if you take just one thing away from this whole story, let it be this. In the world of contracts, a simple promise just isn't enough. To make a promise to keep an offer open truly binding, it has to be paid for. It has to be backed up with something of value. Ultimately, this whole case forces us to look at the promises we make and receive every single day. In a world full of talk, what does it really take to make a promise stick? And maybe more importantly, how can you tell the difference between just a casual assurance and a rock-solid, legally binding guarantee?